Hello and welcome to another episode of that show on the weekend where we give a weekly analysis and our take on the tech news that happened in the previous week.
And things.
And other things, of course. Thank you for joining us this time, and we hope you enjoy the show. Join you after the bell. And we're back. So, our first topic, I'm going to hand over to my friend Steve, who has a very interesting topic to discuss. Steve?
Right. So, the FCC has been giving out a bunch of rulings recently about wireless routers. And one of the things that was of concern is that they said that there was no aftermarket firmware should not be allowed on routers, and that routers need to make sure that things are plugged so that people can't do that. And of course, the three big communities of the
No, just continue.
So the three big open source routing communities, the DDWRT, the OpenWRT, and the Tomatoes, all got upset, and Linksys got upset, and Buffalo, who actually uses DDWRT as the main router firmware on their routers, also got upset. So the FCC has backpedaled a bit and may require all router firmware to go open source to increase security, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, the more hands on a piece of code, the more tight and secure it can get.
Right. I mean, I have been pleasantly surprised in the open source community as of late. At work, we've recently got a sample roaster that does like a 1 pound sample batch. And we've decided to use a Linux laptop and the Artisan Roaster software, which is on GitHub. Which I was surprised I didn't have a GitHub membership before that project. Like, what have I been doing with my life? Right, but like if you go on there, there's 3 problems currently open. One is mine, which I think I figured it out anyway. I just have to go back and close it. The second one was somebody that's like, okay, you bought this temperature gauge USB device. I wrote drivers for it. Here you go. And then they integrated that into the project, which was really cool to see that hands-on experience.
Yeah.
So that I could show my coworkers, like, look, this is why we do this. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's always nice when we get to share the success stories of open source software. Help get it more mainstream. A lot of people use many.
At this point, it is fairly mainstream.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's either opening their source code or they're using open source software. Like, it's not very big in the US, but if you look at Europe as a whole, several major governments over in Europe are like, well, we're just going to use LibreOffice and all of these other open source softwares as our de facto, everybody on the government level must use this. And they saved so much money.
Yes, I've always wondered why schools. I mean, I hear stories of schools going to open source software like instead of Word and Oracle and Oracle's free, but you know, the money savings is there, but for whatever reason they want support.
Well, the thing is,
that no one ever uses.
The thing with it when it comes to support is like, yeah, you pay Microsoft to have support for Microsoft Office, but when was the last time you've heard of anybody having to call about Microsoft Word?
Yeah.
There's no one that does that.
And whenever you do, it's usually about licensing keys isn't working.
Right. That's the only time you contact Microsoft is like, I have to activate this thing and I forgot I installed it and forgot to do the other thing and blah blah blah. And they've gotten more and more convoluted with their licensing system. Like, Windows 10 is tied to the hardware. Microsoft Office 2016, you can activate it once and you have to tie it to a Microsoft account now.
Yep.
And it's a nightmare.
I have Windows or Microsoft Office 2010 Professional for $35 when I was at Alfred State. But that's, I have that forever because it only needs to be, it has the actual key. And, anything after that.
Right. But then you have to step back and look and go, wait a minute, if they can charge you $35, why aren't they charging everybody $35? Instead of
Student price?
$135.
Yeah. I was at Best Buy and they had a whole row of these little they look like gift card things. Mm-hmm. And they said it had the price $124. And it was a stack this big. So and it's like on the back side it has one of those like pin scratch offs so you can reveal the key. That means you could just theoretically walk off with.
Oh, they're typically on hangers, and the hangers have that little security thing.
No,
at
this
the
had
end of
nothing.
It. Really? Yeah, you pick up that piece of plastic and you go, well, first off, I have to download the software, so what's the point? And two, that's a $170 piece of plastic.
Yeah. Well, 120, not 170.
Sorry, $120 piece of plastic.
But it was it was this thick deep. There was probably, I want to say, 75 of them just loosely there.
Probably like 50, but still, they're just kind of sitting there.
It's like,
well, the other thing is
I don't want to encourage theft, but.
Well, the other thing is, if you want Microsoft Office and you have the option of, well, you have to download it either way. So you go to Best Buy, pick up your piece of plastic, bring it home, download Office anyway. Or go to Microsoft and get it right from them. Like, save yourself the gas.
Yeah. And it's not nearly 100. Like, I didn't think Microsoft Office suites were that expensive.
They are.
I mean, I'm so used to having this stuff given to me because, well, I was in college. I graduated now. I have my degree, but.
Well, that's the thing, right? Everybody uses these products, and most people don't sit down and write out pay for things anymore. Like, you get a machine with Windows 10 on it, you don't think, oh wait, Windows 10 is like $200. Like, it's these things that come installed on your machine that, should you have to get on your own, are really expensive, and most people don't do that anyway.
So
at some point, it's cheaper to throw out your computer and buy a new one than it is to buy Windows 10 again.
Yeah. No, you can find like Windows 10 for like $30 online, legit.
Right, but you have to go through all these out of the way ways to do that. And most people, the simplest way is, here, Microsoft, here's my money. Except sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do. Like, Microsoft, I need this thing, take my money, please. And they're like, I don't understand. What are we trying to do here?
No,
do you have an account to then pay me money, then get your product? No? Sorry, I can't take your money yet. You have to go sign up first.
Well, it was weird because when I had bought Adobe Premiere, I was looking to see if there's like a lifetime key. Mm-mm. That's not really offered anymore.
Not since CS6.
No, but it's, if you just need a video editing software and you need something better than Microsoft Movie Maker or whatever.
Right.
$24 a month, really. Yes.
See, at some point, the software companies looked at the video game companies and were like, oh wait, you can keep charging people for video games? Through like DLC or subscriptions and stuff? Why the fuck don't we do that for Adobe Photoshop? And then they did.
Yeah.
Freaking brilliant. Like, oh, you need Photoshop, do you? Well, we have Photoshop, but you have to keep giving me $35 every month for Photoshop. Can I just give you $300 now? No. No, this is better in the long run. And then after a year goes by, you have to give me money again to keep using Photoshop. Otherwise, the whole thing locks up. And then you might be thinking to yourself, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Why aren't more people upset about that? Well, you see, if companies are buying Photoshop, they can typically afford to keep paying money for Photoshop.
Well, I would
The
assume
advantage is if Photoshop updates, the license carries over to the new version. Where it used to be, the new Photoshop comes out, you have to buy Photoshop again.
Yeah, but I think Enterprise, they still offer. I think if you're an Enterprise and you contact them sort of like behind the scenes directly, they can hook you up with a more permanent solution. I've heard of that stuff happening. I can't source it. I
Right.
don't remember, but I see lifetime keys out there that are for the newest version. Like schools, I think, don't have to continually pay. I think.
Right, if you're a not-for-profit, you can probably get a hold of one, but it's not designed to be consumer-focused. It's designed to be product-focused, where their focus is on making money with their product than making the consumer happy with their product.
Well, I don't know. I like Adobe Premiere.
It's nice, and it works, but the licensing does not mean they want you to be happy with their product. They look at you as a walking sack of money.
Yes, I'm well aware. So does Walmart.
Right. And they've got a whole host of other issues that I don't want to get into. Though they backpedaled on a lot of it. It was weird.
Would you bring us to our...
This one?
Let's bring us to our first story. Oh, okay. Now, this article is talking about how Sony officially confirms 4K ready PlayStation, or the PS4 Neo.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, what? 4K at 24 frames a second?
No,
Movie
so
standard?
what you need to be careful here is, first off, it is 4K ready, which means it will scale whatever it is up to 4K.
Yeah.
But the native resolution is not 4K. Sony has a habit of going small to big instead of big to small. Like, a lot of companies make their games for 4K and then scale them down for whatever system they are, and then if you happen to be on PC, good for you. But PlayStation typically, like that whole way back in the day, like the Final Fantasy 13 release on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, like side by side, the resolutions were the same, and you could see that. Because the game was built as big and then scaled down, and then Sony made that down bigger, and it looked shitty.
Now, yeah, I don't think anyone could make a game in 4K unless it was you're playing the original Doom.
Well, it wouldn't be that hard. All you have to do is remember the assets. So, there's a few tricks around that. Like, one, use scalable vector graphics. And you have everything in relative position, and then you just draw the environment as it goes along. Very taxing, but it's very effective. Or, you just make your assets naturally very big, and then scale them down at the runtime. Which happens a lot.
If computers have a hard enough time, enthusiast $3,000 computers with the top of the line hardware have hard enough time playing things consistently at 60 frames a second for 4K.
Well, you have to remember, like, 4K is still the minority of things.
It's like 8 million pixels.
Right. But if you look at like 1080 and 720 when HD came out and 720 and 1080 were existent,
Everyone was like,
it was very easily adaptable. Because everybody's like, I need an LCD television. Most of them were rated for that already out of the box. Like, it was a good number to go for. And 4K, not a lot of people have it still.
yeah.
Like, yeah, you can make things ready for 4K and people are asking for 4K. But it's not people that own video game consoles, it's people like this guy.
And aside from having 4K content, because there isn't a lot, unless, I mean, in terms of like consumer TV, sure, things are a lot of times, if they're high-end movies and stuff or TV shows, they could be shot at 4K, but generally nothing's coming over the cable line at 4K anyway.
Right. The bandwidth simply isn't there. The content isn't there. There's no reason to get a 4K television.
Most people have a device though that can capture something at 4K, higher than that, and it's usually a camera and it's a single frame.
Right.
But other than that, your 4K experience is going to be no different than a 1080 experience.
Right. So why spend the extra money to get it?
Right. Unless you're purposefully buying it for like a productivity, you need the real scale. Like if you had a 50-inch 4K TV, it's like what, 422-inch screens, and just a lot of real estate for like productivity or movie production or.
It's still not necessary.
Well,
Most people that are doing productivity things are still looking at a monitor. And if you really need the space, they've got those extra wide monitors now.
Yeah, they're ultra wides.
With a slight angle to make it feel nicer.
Yeah, you could just get a movie projector.
Yeah, that's actually very affordable now that they've all moved to LED bulbs. Because it used to be you needed a fancy halogen bulb, and when that thing blew, you might as well throw the projector out and get a new one. It's like...
It was like printers.
Right. It's just like inkjet printers, where the new ink is the price that I paid for the printer. Why don't I just get a new printer instead? Save myself the money.
Yeah, I think that plan kind of back failed. I mean, do people go by that model, or they just don't?
Well, here's the other problem with that, is like, nobody uses printers anymore.
Right.
You can email documents. We have PDFs and all of these other things.
Now, unless
and
you're in
people
college and you're
right.
printing out paper.
Even then, most professors are moving to the email it to me by the deadline.
Yeah, or do you just use a school printer anyway?
Right. If you have to have a printer for that kind of thing, you already have a printer. Most people do not have printers.
Yeah, I don't.
Or need to use printers.
It's like CD drives, no? I mean, I have a CD drive.
Almost, if you go to Best Buy right now, you will look through that aisle and find maybe 2 CD drives.
There was the gaming. They had a iBuyPower gaming. I took a picture of it. For people who are wondering what's on my phone, it should be coming up on my screen right now. I had bought. I didn't buy. I had looked. They had this iBuyPower thing for 800, and it has a CD drive in it actually. If you.
Why?
I don't know. But.
It's
Yeah.
so blue.
Yeah, I was looking at this, and so it's
My first desktop looked that blue.
yeah, see right there, CD drive.
Huh.
Mushy keys though. I didn't like that. It wasn't mechanical.
No.
I love the little WASD red highlight. You know, in case you're like new to PC games and you're wondering where you move.
Yeah. So this is, I'm pretty sure it's a TN panel, but it's 144 hertz. And I'm pretty sure that they're selling it separately from this.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
it has its own price tag. It's a $279 for the monitor, $199. And actually I was this is it has a 460 A 960 from MSI graphics card. It's got a i5 processor. I think it was. It was a like 6480 or 6480p. Anyway, I priced all the systems out, and I think the profit margins are probably around $200.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, that's not that bad. And then they have a 2400 one that
It's
must
probably
have got
even
bought.
less than that because they buy the parts at wholesale,
Yeah, this looked like,
where we don't.
yeah.
You want a good price on an NVIDIA 1080s? Well, if you buy 1,000 of them, we mark 20% off of those. You should go for the volume discount.
Yeah.
Because you've got like 10 grand to sit around and throw at these things.
You heard the new Intel CPU is 1700? It was 10 core, hyper-threaded.
$1,700.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so I was listening to Linus, and he theorized the reason, like, it's targeted for people with more money than brains.
Yeah.
Because you could get a Xeon for less with EEC support or air correcting memory support, but you can't use that with this processor, this 1700. You're paying an extra, what, 800, 700 for the 2 cores compared to the next tier down. So he was saying that someone in the marketing department was like, hang on, we need to make something, but we need to do something to not have it eat away at our Xeon line.
Yeah,
So let's just raise the price.
Well,
so why bother even releasing it? If you just... Is it to fill a spot in their tier line?
Well, okay, so when you're looking at the highest end Intel processors and the highest end AMD processors, part of AMD's selling point is, look, our most expensive processor is still a third the price of their most expensive processor. And it's still okay. It's not comparable, but it's okay. And then Intel has these super duper 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 expensive processors for people to buy, throw in their machine, and then go, look what I bought with all of my money. Like, there's this one guy that I help with his computer all the time, and that's the kind of stuff he does. He has this really amazing setup with, like, 2 980 Ti's and all of this other nonsense in it that I helped him put together. And every time there's a problem, he messages me on Facebook, like, how do I log in? Or, how do I do this simple thing? Like, he had all of this money, but he didn't take a moment and research. Like his, what was it?
We should go...
He had a bad driver that kept causing his computer to shut down. And it literally blue screened, put up the message, you have a bad driver. This is the driver. And just was like, I don't understand why my computer's shutting down. And I'm like, okay, did it blue screen? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let me go into your logs. And I go in, I'm like, okay, so what's this thing? It's like, oh yeah, the blue screen that I took the picture of did that. Or said that thing. Like,
do you not make the connections?
That you have a $3,000 computer and can't read an error message. Like
I was saying, people with more brains and common sense. That's who it's...
He's like, oh yeah, I'm getting a couple
Let
of
it go.
1080s.
Let it go.
Well, so here's the thing, like, he's getting a couple of 1080s, right? So he has these 980s that he doesn't need anymore. And he's like, what if I turn them into physics processors? I heard from Linus that was a fun thing to do. I'm like, yeah, I guess, if you're Linus, sure, and know what you're doing. I'm not going to set that up for you. I'll take one of those. I'd gladly take one of your 980 Ti's. And
I have a 980
that's never
Ti.
happened.
I really like it. It's in that computer, it's sitting right over there.
I get a 660.
Yeah. I gave you.
No?
No, I thought I gave you.
Nope.
No, I gave you a good processor, and you just gave it to another friend. So you know.
I gave it to my younger brother.
Oh.
But I found out that the processor that he had was the same processor anyway.
So it's the exact same
It's
processor.
the exact same processor.
Do you know that the process you gave him, I was able to overclock to 4.2 gigahertz from 3.6? Do you know how much of a winner of the lot? You need to go to his house, and when he's not there, swap out the processor so we can have this magical the CPU that I was like able to get like 0.5, the what was it, 25% overclock.
That's fine. Because I was using it to play videos in my living room. He's going to use it for work and video games. It's better that he's using it for that purpose than I was using it for a purpose that it didn't need to be overclocked for.
Actually, I had to change out because that processor was holding back my 760 when I had it. Like I swapped out to the latest FX. I didn't want to upgrade my motherboard because that would have been too expensive at the time. But the 8-core FX and the now I have a 980 Ti, and I probably should upgrade it to like an Intel system. But if I upgrade it to an Intel system, Windows 10 might not work.
Oh, right. The Skylark processor, right? Is their big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to have Windows 10 to use the Skylark. And I have not looked into the Linux community, but I think they're perfectly fine dealing with it. Or they're not. Most people that are running in the Linux community circles are running AMD processors.
No, I can't imagine that Windows has that much control over Intel. I think that
what it is the Windows microcode that runs the operating system hardware compatibility with the processor and the operating system.
Yeah.
The pass, whatever it is, I can't think of words right now. So that code, Microsoft did not patch into earlier versions of Windows to work in.
But there's nothing preventing that from being in Linux.
No, there isn't.
Right. So it's just Microsoft trying to get people on Windows 10.
Right.
They
are really aggressive about it.
If you're doing it on Mac or Linux, then
right,
probably fine.
Well, the microcode for Intel and AMD processors is written by them and released to the repositories. So Linux should theoretically be supporting Skylake processors right now because Intel gave that code to Canonical for Ubuntu, and that just circulates from there.
Well, the truth about the truth about the Skylake processor, it will run on Windows 7 and anything older. It just Windows 10 has optimized features or allows you to use some extra features that are.
Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe they're just lying to you.
No, I just tested.
Of course, Microsoft has done a lot of things where they're like, we're just never going to tell you guys until it's convenient to push you forward.
You know, they're never going to end that free upgrade. Well, they're going to find some reason. Oh, we're extending it. You know, adoption's good. You know.
Right. They're going to keep pushing the upgrade all the way until 11.
They say 10 is
They're just making 10 free forever, just to see what happens. Because they're getting so many people over to it now. Mostly because of the... So, I was watching...
weather reports?
I was watching a thing about the latest attempt Microsoft has put up. So, one, they've re-enabled it if you disabled the update to Windows 10.
They've doing that.
Put it back in. Secondly, the window that pops up now that says Windows 10 upgrade is available, and you have the not right now blue text, the next button, and then an X for the window. And guess which one of those cancels the upgrade?
None of them?
None of them. The not right now downloads the update, and it's going to ask you again. The X downloads the update, and then it's going to ask you again, and then hitting next does the upgrade. And it's been flagged as a recommended update, so most people have been experiencing the update. And it's super fun, especially at my work, where we run a software that wasn't even compatible with Windows 10 for our registers. And then they all started upgrading to Windows 10. I was in Rochester when this happened. Like, 2 of the machines upgraded to 10. Mid being open. They just turned around and the machine was down. It was like, you're going to Windows 10 now.
I'm surprised.
Non-stop to Windows 10 land.
There has to be some lawsuits, or these class action lawsuits of like, hey, we didn't want this. You're causing us millions of dollars of lost revenue.
Yes and no. The one thing is, because you agreed to the end user license agreement, you waive the right to because the terms of service updated when the free upgrade to Windows 10 existed. Like, you've already agreed to the Windows 10 upgrade.
Even if your Windows 7 is before they even thought about Windows 10?
Yep.
So it is in there.
If it's part of an update, you've agreed to allow Microsoft to install updates that are recommended.
Oh, okay.
If they say it's a recommended update, you've already agreed to it.
You can never waive your right away to sue, though. People
No, you
still
can't. But you did agree to the update when you installed the operating system. That end user license agreement that most people are like, sure, I read this. Next. There's a lot of really weird things you've agreed to.
Yeah. There are some things, like that. How long would it take them to read that? You've won $5,000 if you actually read this, and it took them 5 months. What was that? There was that website or something that had the terms of service that they just were going to give away $5,000 to someone whoever read it. It took them many months before it was actually claimed. Just buried it. Yeah, but you don't expect updates to you expect updates to break something every now and then, but you to easily be able to undo it.
Yes.
Now, the problem is you can't always undo this and have it work correctly.
The Windows 10 upgrade, reverting back to your previous version of Windows, is very easy to do. They made sure that it was very easy to do. And it was very easy to undo with the few times that I've had to undo it for people. Like, on the one hand, if the upgrade to Windows 10 breaks all of your shit, like, single-handedly has caused your company to no longer function, you have issues other than the Windows 10 upgrade. Your software should have been updated probably 6-7 years ago. Like, if Windows 8 was too much, and that's why you went with Windows 7, like, you need to reevaluate your software choices.
Yeah, but not everyone can. Maybe some of those software companies went out of business and no one's waiting for a piece of hardware. Let's say you are an industrial factory where you have industrial machines that are the size of a house or a car, and then it's like upgrading that is like millions of dollars.
Okay, so in those instances, the machines that are being run with computers, those computers are typically offline for strict security purposes.
Okay.
In the example of my work, we use a version of Counterpoint that is about 6 years old because they simply refuse to buy the new version. The company, from the version we bought, has traded hands twice now. Like, the company went under, was bought, that company went under, and was bought again by the time they were like, maybe we should upgrade the software. Like, empires have literally fallen and were rebuilt in the amount of time that it's taken them to go, we should probably get the new version.
Which empires?
Just all of them. I don't care.
Okay.
It's an example. Just just people adapting to new hardware and software. It goes back to all of the previous conversations we had with like the Oculus Rifts and nonsense. Like people have hit the point where people aren't upgrading their computers or their hardware simply because they don't feel like they need to, and they don't. Like, we're upgrading and getting new things faster than people are adapting them.
You know, for Microsoft, who really wants to get out of the operating system business and more into like mobile market and marketplace, they sure do their darndest to get people to get a new operating system.
Well, yeah, there's a great example or a great reason they want to do that.
Well,
if you have a PC, go into your personal settings and notice how much stuff you have that is specific to phones.
A lot of it.
Mostly because the version of Windows 10 that's on your computer and the version of Windows 10 that's on a phone or tablet are the same version. They did not write a new version for any of that. The only difference is this one is for 32-bit processors, this one's 64-bit processors, this is for ARM processors. And that's it. Everything else is the same.
If they change bits again, when we're at, like, 8, 16, would they have to always keep it a power of 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they're still using bits.
So...
And bits are powers of 2.
When they switch from 64, it will go to 128?
Yep.
No.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. Well, if it did, so that would be...
If it was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
No, I was just thinking... On the technical side, the reason why just switching to... If you installed the same computer side by side, two of them, 32 and 64, 64-bit will be faster because each core could process double the amount of bits per cycle at the same time, right? So double at the power of 2 for 128, would the percentage of speed increase? Like, would it be an accelerating curve upward of performance?
It wouldn't be a curve. It was a linear line.
Linear.
Because it's always increased by a factor of double.
Could the perceived responsiveness be greater than 32 to 64? I mean...
Probably not. You have to remember, right now, we're still having people write software for 32-bit.
Yeah, but if we disregard that...
Well, you can't really. If you want to push to 128-bit software, everybody has to be on the 64-bit page first. And since everybody's not on the same page yet, there's no reason to turn the page.
People are still doing 8-bit, right? There was never a 2... No, did they start at 8?
They started at 16. Windows or DOS 3.11, 95, 98, NT, 2000, and early XP were all 16-bit. XP was the first 32-bit only operating system. But they had the legacy to support 16-bit software.
Well, if it wasn't for XP going to 32, we'd probably still have...
Right. So, a lot of software that no longer runs on 64-bit operating systems are because they're 16-bit programs. Like your old DOS games that you can no longer run in Windows 10, the reason for that is they're 16-bit games.
Right. You'd need like an emulator or something.
Right. Which is where DOSBox comes in, and it's an amazing project. But you have to remember, even Microsoft doesn't fully embrace their 64-bit. Whenever you go to download a major thing like Office, or if you're on Adobe and you're trying to get Photoshop, like they have a 64-bit version of all these things, but they recommend that you grab the 32-bit version for compatibility issues. Because they're like, well, what if you don't have it? 32 can install in everybody's system. if you only get the 64-bit version, it can only install on the 64-bit machines. And then you're like, wait a minute, I don't have any more 32-bit machines. They're all 64-bit. Why are we still worrying about 32-bit people?
Yeah.
Just disregard the fact that my 10-year-old laptop in the other room is 32-bit still. And like first-gen dual-core processor, but I have to upgrade it now because Google is the first person I know of that has dropped 32-bit support.
Good.
They are starting to phase out their 32-bit supports. They started with Linux and Mac, and they're working the way around. But like, that's kind of important.
Even that Phenom processor was 64-bit. That was what, 2009, 10?
Earlier, like the first 64-bit
What's the
processor
Athlon
was
64?
like 04 actually.
I thought it was 06.
Well, maybe it was 06, but still,
It was
like,
back when like AMD was good in terms of competition.
right. So 64-bit or 64 has been around for 10 years now, and we're still like people are still having a hard time adapting to it.
Maybe we could just release some nanites into the world
Like,
and just have them devour all the 32-bit, 60.
Like 16-bit lasted about a decade before they finally moved on, and we've hit the decade mark, and there isn't even mustings of 128-bit processors.
I guess. Well, look how long it took people to go from black and white to color.
Right.
I mean,
Like right now, our big push is we want processors that have good battery life.
yeah.
And we want things smaller and smaller and smaller. Instead of making a really nice big processor, we're now going tiny and efficient and better battery life. So now you can have a smartphone that can literally go 2 days without charging, like it's a frickin' Nokia.
Well, yeah, smartphone. You could get a basic phone, have it last a whole week.
My husband's phone gets charged about a week and a half before. Like, it died at the week mark, but he decided to keep going.
Yeah. No, I had a basic phone before I switched to the Note 5. So, my first smartphone is a freaking Note 5.
It's like a mini tablet. My first smartphone was the Samsung Galaxy S for AT&T. It was really nice. It was the Captivate. And then, when AT&T was too expensive for me, because $128 a month, lol, I moved over to Sprint. And I got the Samsung Galaxy S for Sprint, which was the Fascinate. The Fascinate has a flip keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
It is awful. It's so bad. It was recently returned to me. It's finally come back. And it is really chunky. I'll have to show you too after this, but it's...
So this was all the things in the 90s?
No, I got the,
No, they didn't have... No, smartphones didn't come back until 2002.
No, I got my
1.
first smartphone in 2010.
Okay.
And it had a nice display. I liked it. It was a nice phone.
Well, for me, I was debating should I get a tablet to complement, because I didn't want anything to compete with my gaming / editing rig. Because what would be the point, to compete?
Well,
so I was like, well, I could get a phone that's like a tablet, and then could sort of, fill two walls. And I'm like, now I don't feel like the need to get a tablet anymore. And I don't feel the need to have to get a new phone.
the Asus transforming pads are really nice. They're the tablets that when you dock them, they go to desktop mode. Otherwise, you pull them off and they're a tablet. They're nice. There's a Windows 10 version of them now.
Windows 10 isn't bad once you fix up all the privacy issues.
Once the Stockholm Syndrome sets in, and you feel sufficiently trapped in your decisions, it's not that bad.
No, I mean...
That's how I've described it to everybody. That's like, I've got Windows 7. Should I upgrade? Yeah. You know, once you get used to the nails on the seat, the chair's pretty comfortable.
What I'm saying is, if you disable the telemetry, you disable the spine,
You go into privacy and you turn everything off.
and a few more things, maybe get an app that disables the other stuff. That they
I
don't
mean,
let you disable.
at the basics, you go into settings and you go to privacy and you turn everything off. And no, I don't want you to keep asking me periodically if I'm enjoying my experience. I'm here, you should just be happy. And then I left. And I caved and I'm running Windows, or I went from Ubuntu Mate and I caved and now I'm running Linux Mint.
Mint. Why thought you liked Mite?
Okay, so I liked Ubuntu Mate very much. It was the community edition of Ubuntu that Canonical has almost no input on, but they recognize it as an official flavor now. The Mate desktop is pretty great. I tried Cinnamon, and that's pretty much what happened. And then I was like, okay, well, let's try Mint because it comes with Cinnamon out of the box. And then... So the real reason that sold me and why I kept with it is the upgrade utility for updates and stuff is a lot nicer in Mint than it is in Ubuntu. And that's it. I can go, hey, I want my upgrades to come faster. Tell me the closest place and I will set it as my default update location. So it's a that feature exists in Fedora Core, but I hate Fedora Core. Just the Fedora in general is awful. I've never seen an installer that required a DVD simply so you could go through every single install option. Like, it's really customizable, and I can see people really, really, really liking that. But the people that really, really, really like the customizable features of Fedora Core went with Arch Linux. Because Arch Linux is super, super duper customizable. Right down to the file system types. And it's a little not user-friendly. Like, it's Linux for Linux people.
Right.
Right back in the day when, like, Debian was Linux for Linux people. And then Debian, by proxy of Ubuntu and Linux Mint and Puppy Linux, became, like, the friendly new people Linux. And people like, that Linux isn't hardcore enough for us anymore. It installs with a graphic user interface now. It used to not. It used to be like, you installed it, here's your command prompt, live it up.
You know, it's the super hardcore crowd that should be hoping that more people adopt Linux.
Well, so you have to remember, you can't have everybody be the hardcore crowd. And this applies to operating systems and computing and video games. Like, if the only people allowed to enjoy something are the hardcore crowds, it will grow stagnant and you will lose people over time and it will die. You have to be able to keep getting new people into the product. Or,
well, that's what
hell, cigarettes figured this out way back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Hook 'em early. They keep smoking throughout their life. I mean, that's a terrible example, but it's true.
But it's apt.
But, like, yeah, people... I used to be that guy that was like, oh, Candy Crush. Frickin' casuals. Filthy casual games. And, like...
Console peasants. Join the master race.
But, like, you have to remember, people have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's better that they start on something that they don't have to build themselves. And they can just put things in and enjoy it for the
I remember when I first started Linux, it was Ubuntu, I think, my first one.
My first foray into Linux was Fedora Core. I think it was 6 at the time. And I've done
I think mine was Ubuntu.
CentOS.
Ubuntu 7 was my first. Ubuntu 6 to 7.
Yeah.
8.
But, like, if you want people to play like video games on PC, you have to make them play video games in the first place, and it's very easy to go. Here's a Game Boy. Here's a Nintendo Wii. Here's a few games for it. Wet your feet. Move on.
The problem with the whole, PC Master Race or Linux Hardcore is like you need more users you need other people who aren't as into it.
You need the Puppy Linuxes. You need the Ubuntu's.
The
you
Game
need
Boys, the
Linux
Nintendos.
Mints, or the consoles. Like, you want people to go from Windows to Linux, you have to give them something that looks very close to Windows, but that isn't Windows. Granted, you literally can install a Windows 7 skin for Cinnamon that goes through and even changes the start menu and the icons to make it look exactly like Windows 7, and most people can't tell the difference until they start going into weird places. I think it's a nice trick.
The problem is, people who know how to do that don't need to do that.
Right. They do it for other people because they're kind souls. Like, I've attempted to get people into Linux in the past, and most people that are like, oh, I only do Windows, I don't understand other things. I tried to use somebody's Mac and I got lost. I'm like, right, okay, I get that. Wait, but you also have a phone. A smartphone. And, like, you could figure out how to use the internet and the apps on your smartphone. Like, it shouldn't be mind-boggling to go, okay, here's where Chrome is in this other thing. Like, people are very quick to dismiss things, and they don't like to be challenged a lot.
Well, I'm very quick to dismiss just even how to change the oil in my car. You see, the way I look at it, I look at cars the way people who don't use computers look at computers. I look at computers the way that a hard mechanic looks at a car. I know everything there is I have a whole degree on it. And I think everyone has to specialize somewhere. So I make money, I pay the mechanic. It's a Bob Dole wrench, that's whatever, fix it.
Right.
And
like, I know how to change oil. I choose not to because disposing used motor oil is very difficult.
Yes.
Because you can't just throw it down the drain anymore.
That's a capitalist society we live in. We pay other people who decided to specialize their life. Or, you know.
Because people don't pay you to fix their computers.
Actually, no. I have not been a good computer guy. I've been giving it out for free.
Right. Just like people come to you to fix their computer, you go to people to fix your car.
Yeah.
Like, you don't... Like, yeah, some people can bake birthday cakes, but most people can't use an oven. So they go to a person that bakes cakes to bake them a cake.
And
like, it's not too far-fetched to go, here's somebody that's specialized in this thing, much better than I am at this thing. I'm going to go to them for that thing. You don't prepare your own taxes. You go to a tax guy for that, who went to courses for that. You don't balance your own accounting books. You go to an accountant. Mostly because accounting is terrible and I don't ever want to do that.
My dad's ex-girlfriend isn't an accountant.
That she must have been enjoyable to be around.
No, she was actually very nice.
Yeah. Nice and boring.
She actually works at the job, at the place I plan on interviewing. Or I have had an interview, actually. I was hoping I could be like, hey, can you, put in a good word?
It's probably best that you don't. If it's your dad's ex-girlfriend, you probably shouldn't be doing that.
No.
Unless they ended on amicable terms.
Well, he went back into religion, so naturally he couldn't have a non-religious girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
No, Jehovah's Witness. He's a Jehovah's Witness now.
Yeah, I'm probably sure that did not end well for her, so you probably should just avoid that.
No, actually, her and I remained friends along with my mom. So what happened was she just decided, why don't I just get along with, his mom's side of the family. And so, so that remained good. So I was able to use her as a reference, a character reference, and it actually did work out well.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. But I'm still that their manager has been out of town, so it's been a week where the hiring manager has been like off on a golf course somewhere.
Supposedly.
Yeah, and there have also been a lot of other hires. It's very competitive. What happened was their recruiting office sent it out to my teacher, who has thousands of students, and so she sends out the email. So I have no idea. Like, I'm dealing with my classmates here. I actually think I have a good chance. No offense to my classmates. The smartest person's.
You should start calling people out by name.
Huh?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm
I'm
not-
definitely better than Dan.
Yeah. I'm not going to call out names on camera.
Larry. He knows what he did.
I'm better than that. I'm not going to like out people on something that I put on YouTube.
Oh,
That-
because there's a last name to go with these random common first names.
The Joe Bob, right? No,
Frickin' Gary.
Yeah.
He was so bad at the whole thing.
Anyway, so because I'm broke, or no, I'm not entirely broke, but because I'm not as wealthy as some of my other tech reviewers, I don't have many
New things.
many products to review at the moment, except this NAS that I wanted to build tonight, but we're not going to get to it.
Time and such.
Yes, so it'll come in another video. Well, it wasn't going to happen in this video anyway, but I have been looking at reviews trying to see if upgrading from a 980 Ti to a 1080 is really worth it. And I don't think so.
My understanding is it isn't.
It's not.
Typically, when you're looking to upgrade your graphics card, you want to skip the leapfrog versions.
Yeah.
So you want to go from whatever's coming out after the 1080.
Yeah.
And
And
my
not,
660 going to a 980 Ti is proper, but you want
but
every other.
to be the 980 is big Maxwell, or 980 Ti is big Maxwell, or GPU M100, where 980 is little Maxwell, and 1080 is little Pascal. It is not the big brother, which is in the Quattro quads. The 980 Ti has the Quattro version of the card, just a little bit shaved off.
Right.
So I would rather wait for a Ti version of the 1080 if I were to build a new system. Which is my recommendation to anyone out there. I mean, we only waited 3 months for the 980 Ti to come out after the 980 was announced.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was using a 77070 AMD card until a lovely person that I raid with
Well,
sent me his
for
old
those
graphics
who
card.
are in the loop of enthusiast hardware,
I've got interests and I work. Like, you want to talk coffee or magic or video
we
games?
did a
I'm
whole
down on
episode
that.
about. Go and check out Coffee in the title. We didn't have any topics to talk about, so we literally just talked about coffee the entire episode.
Which was just me getting off of work and continuing. Really. Because that's my work. It's both a hobby and also what I do for a living.
Yeah, we're going on a little over an hour, and well, let's
I
just.
mean, though, like with Magic, they just had their really cool set that just came out. Eternal Masters. They just reprinted a whole bunch of stuff that they said they would never reprint to keep the cost of the things down. Yeah, Force of Will's back. You want to know what a counterspell feels like? Being hit by it when your opponent hasn't even taken their turn yet? Yeah, that's how it is.
How do you get hit by a counter spell if they haven't even done anything?
So Force of Will, it's like 2 blue, 3 colorless, counter target spell. Or, if you take a blue card from your hand, exile it, and pay 1 life, you can play it for free. So I can do it to you, even if I haven't taken my turn yet.
Oh. Okay.
There's a couple of other 0 cost counter spells, but they're not nearly as good as Force of Will, which is an $80 rare right now,
Okay.
and they just reprinted it.
All right. So I think this wraps up the video. Let me just give a sneak preview so our audience knows that I am serious about this channel. I'm going to build a NAS in the Fractal Node 304, and I'll make a video about it, and it's going to have many components. Hang on, they're all over the place. It's going to have this little motherboard.
It's adorable.
Yeah, isn't it? Like,
does it have a chip already on it?
no, I have an i3 over there. It's going to be in a little mini. I know it's like so cute.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
God, I haven't been this so overwhelmed by cuteness since.
Kawaii.
God, we just hold on. I have to show you this really quick. You keep doing your thing.
Okay. So that's okay. Oh, that's the Gigabyte Ultra Durable H17 or H17 the N with Wi-Fi. I won't be using the Wi-Fi. I don't think.
Well, it's nice to have as an option.
Yeah, what I will be using actually won't even be connected to the internet. Really, it's just going to be connected to my editing rig. We have the Core i3 here. Peanuts everywhere. We have.
Hold on, you're gonna have to cut this out. But read this post that my brother just put up. I'm very proud of this.
Alright, man. All we need is one. And that's.
Is giving birth to a newborn.
Really?
Oh God, that's really funny.
Is that well, it was 2 hours ago. Was someone giving birth next door?
No. I
Oh.
think they were just having a very hard poop.
Oh. Anyway.
Oh man. Wait till this gets sooner. We're going to talk about a lot of Pokemon.
Okay. So this is the M.2 card. Look at that.
M.2. Oh, that's a.
Hard drive. 256.
That's so tiny.
Yeah, I know. You know, they made like a 512 gigabyte one in the size of one board as Samsung made one. Anyway, so yeah, we got an M.2 to go with it.
Yeah, this is our tiny little sample roaster.
No.
It's like our big roaster, but everything's so tiny.
We have a kit of Fury Hyper DDR4 16 gig kit. Look, I wasn't able to afford air correcting RAM. Okay, it's too expensive. Anyway, we have the operating system, which is a 32 gigabyte flash drive. The biggest part of that is the
Tiny. Oh, it's USB 3.0 too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat.
I have, I don't know if the actual fan is going to get in the way of the header, because I didn't want to have to plug that in the back in case, for whatever reason, I just unplug it. I'm like, oh, I just unplugged the operating system, because that's going to have an image of the operating system. The hard drive is going to be used as a cache.
Right.
So I got this internal USB 3 to female USB to plug right into that.
Well, you could get 2 of them and then raid them.
Yeah, but could that... Well, I could do RAID 1, not RAID 0. Because RAID 0 could fail
Right, no,
Well,
you want mirrored.
yeah.
You get two little dongles, and they're dongling together. Dongles.
Actually, this would be like more than enough space for NAS.
I was gonna say, you can, I've got, what, an 8 gig thumb drive that runs Linux Mint on it?
Yeah. How does that work with like the journaling and everything? Where is
Perfectly
it all
fine.
We have, remember this? We have an SFP cable that's going to go one in my editing rig and one into the NAS. And this is the network cable. Like, you know. Oh, sorry, excuse me. We tested this from our computers. We were getting 185 megabytes, not megabits, megabytes per
It was so
per
fast
second.
the dialogue wouldn't even pop up and tell you how fast you were going.
Yeah, we
You
had
just
to,
had
like,
to guess how fast it was going.
we had to like find an exceptionally large. We like transferred like a 5 gigabit file in like what was it, 7
a
seconds?
5 gigabyte file faster than the dialogue could pop up and let you know you were copying something.
Yeah, I mean it was.
It was so fast.
I have. Oh, this is the Noxua low profile fan. Let me here, cause I want our viewers to understand the awesomeness of this. Okay. So
There, now we can prove we wear pants during these things.
Could you imagine? Okay, so it's like an experience just opening like this pamphlet hand signed.
What the hell?
Oh my god. Like
Man, so this is what way unnecessary looks like.
oh my god, like I'm afraid to like even use this.
All of that for one fan? Oh, it's a heatsink.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
look at that. I don't know if the reflection comes through on the camera. I mean,
That is shiny AF.
yeah. Like and like it comes like with like a badge and like it's like
Mounting stuff and what is that? An RFID on there?
no, it's like a case badge.
Oh. Who even uses those?
Well, yeah, no one.
I would like to point out, as a proud Ithacan, my car is super covered in bumper stickers.
Do you really
I've
want-
had it for less than a month.
Tell people what city we're in.
Whatever, it's
Well,
fine.
okay, fine.
You know how many Ithacas there are?
Or at least one.
There is one in almost every state.
Okay.
There's also an Ithaca, Greece.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so anyway, like my car is covered in bumper stickers. I have almost nothing on my desktop as far as stickers go. My laptop's a different story. Like, it is so covered in stickers. But I saw the laptop of the guy that does the Raspberry Pi project, and his laptop is more sticker than laptop. So I
Yeah.
don't feel bad.
I got the CX430 power supply. Nothing really special. It's like a $40 power supply.
How many watts?
430. Doesn't have to be that much. I think it's like half modular or something. I hope this isn't too long. It said it was compatible.
It probably is fine. The boxes are longer than the power supplies typically.
Okay. Oh! Now. And the product of the hour, of course.
Mind you, all of this is just spread across my living room.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Oh, the SFP 10 gigabit NIC card. I have two of them. One's in my editing rig right now.
What's the speed of the latest cat?
I think it's
Gotta be up.
Cat 8 is the experimental right now. 7 and 8 are in, well, 7's. I mean, it's got to be backbone worthy. Anyway, I have currently with me. I have 4, but I'm going to get 3 more. So what's 159 times 3?
450.
That's the price of these 3 right here.
That's so expensive.
Yeah, but these are I need to get 4 more. 3 more because the Node 304 can fit 6, but these are 720 RPM, 64 megabyte cache, SATA 3, 6 gigabit, 4 terabyte NAS rated drives. And because I'm going to have 6 of them, they need to be NAS rated because they're just going to be running like all the time. And yeah, you don't want shaking each other apart. And the failure rate on a NAS rated drive, if used in a NAS, is lower than.
So why wouldn't you allow the operating system to slow down the hard drives when not in use?
I'm sure it will.
You know, almost every distribution of Linux I've ever touched allowed that as a power option.
Yeah, but I'm building a NAS. I want NAS drives.
I know, I'm just saying.
So, there you have it. That's the product loadout.
You're currently building to store the Library of Alexandria. And still have some room.
Well, you know. If it's worth doing it, it's worth overdoing.
I guess.
Well, if I really wanted to overdo it, I get a server board with EEC memory. Or ECC?
And at least 4 processors on it.
Nah. I only got an i3.
Yeah, I've got this little Samba file server at work that was an old Dell something from 2006. It serves files like a champ.
I think I got like 3 processors laying at home. They're like an Athlon, and 2 Phenoms. No, I actually I had an i7 that I pulled out from like a 2009 Dell Dimension. But I gave it to my cousin with the board. I told him, he needed something that worked, and it was like he had the other parts, and like he understands to like not just junk it. he knows enough, so he's gonna keep it aside until he can build something with it. But I think it was like before Sandy Bridge or something. It was like really old.
Yeah, I don't know. My stuff typically is I use it until it falls apart.
And
then I keep using it.
I need faster storage. And if you're going to build a NAS, build it. If you're going to build a NAS, of course you're going to build it. That's why you're going to build it. But don't buy a NAS unless you can buy like WD web cloud thing, but
They have hard drives now that have a little end on the external hard drive that's swappable that can be set to be RJ45.
right. But those things, you're not going to get nearly the reliability in the same price range. Like it's like a $1,500 build, I think.
Again, I have a tiny free 06 Samba server at work.
You know, I started building this. I started collecting the parts last year. Like, I didn't like have all this cash on hand. The only reason why you get to enjoy something like that is because I planned out the budget for like many months ahead.
Yeah.
I just blew this month's hard drive budget on this watch, but whatever.
Though, I mean, again, if you don't need like super duper 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 crazy fast, there's a very nice Raspberry Pi project you can do.
Yeah.
You spend $25, just grab a bucket of Legos, build yourself a little Raspberry Pi hard drive rack.
Yep.
They're super adorable. And surprisingly, a lot of people still have Legos in their house.
I have Legos in my house.
Yeah, there you go. Make
I have
yourself a
things
little
that
Raspberry Pi case.
So I have all my Legos are tied up in things that I built that I don't ever want to take apart.
You're one
because
of those people.
I remember slaving.
You're the
over
guy
the-
who grabbed the super glue in the Legos movie kind of guy.
I didn't actually super glue them yet, but I remember just slaving over hours of these directions trying to put these things together.
I've always put Lego sets together, and then they are together for like a month, and then they end up turning into something different, and I enjoy that better.
Yeah.
I built a Lego castle one weekend that was as tall as I was. I was like 5 feet at the time. It was very impressive.
Was it just a square box?
No, I had a bunch of mountain pieces and stuff too. It was very cool. Of course, this was back in the day that digital cameras didn't exist, so there's no pictures of it. But it was fun.
You know how many like the little Legos? Or were they big like?
Little Legos, yeah.
Not Mega Blocks?
Nope.
Okay.
I had a human-sized cooler filled with Legos. Because my parents bought this cooler at a garage sale. It was roughly human-sized. And we took it to the beach once. And once it's filled with ice and other things, it is too heavy for 2 people to lift up. So like, well, that was a dumb idea. Now we know why that other person sold it. So we filled it full of Legos, and it worked perfectly great in that.
Well, I mean, you got to play with Legos, right? Your parents were academics, right?
No, my dad is he's been a lot of things, but it's all food service related.
No.
And my mother was going to college for accounting before she passed away, and my stepmother owns a diner. So a lot of food service in my family.
I spent a lot of my work career in food service kind of related stuff.
I've worked all kinds of food service.
I'm waiting to put my, degree to work. Did I mention I graduated?
Man, you know how long it was before I got my first job?
A year? 2?
About 7 months.
Okay.
And it wasn't a good job. And I took it because I needed it.
I am currently working. It's easier to get a job when you have a job. So.
Right. When I graduated, it was in the middle of 2010's recession.
Well.
None of my friends had a job.
CEOs working at McDonald's.
No, CEOs getting raises for companies that were bankrupt. That was going on at the time that I graduated.
I've heard
the whole Fannie Mae Freddie Mac thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't quite 08's housing bust, but it was very close to that. It wasn't a good time to graduate and look for a job, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, we are.
Probably should.
Hour 19 minutes.
Okay, we should probably call them.
You know, I don't think I have to edit anything out.
Okay.
No, well, I mean, I'll add the. I need to make a new intro.
Okay.
It just I wrote in Twine the tire tactic's name. I poured lighter fluid on it
It set it on fire.
and recorded that.
Okay then.
Well, I mean, how long? I mean, what I should do is buy some bunny rabbit chicken wire fencing. And then buy long spools of twine, tie it to it, and then wait to lighter fluid it at night, and then light it, and then record it, so it just looks like a really nice effect in like Adobe After Effects or something.
No, what you do is you take decent gauged galvanized wire and twist it to be a word, and then hook that up to a battery and it will glow.
Ooh.
Be careful, you can electrocute yourself.
No, yeah.
Don't do that at home.
Okay. You don't do that at home.
No, let him do it. He'll be the cautionary tale.
I will live.
Yeah, okay.
I took an intro to electricity course.
What?
For today.
Okay, sure. Anyway, we should probably finish this.
Okay. Thank you for watching another wonderful episode of That Show on the Weekend. I'm your host, Daniel, or Tyler, whatever. Tyler Tech Tips. My middle name. Hit subscribe if you liked our antics. Hit the like button. And once this NAS gets built, I'll be able to buy more products to review regularly. It's just, do you want me to review this watch or something, or leave a comment below. And that's been the show. Thanks for sticking around to the end. All right, see you in the next one. Bye.